Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I will be creating a couple of resin coasters, and this is going to be a gift for a crafty friend of mine. So Delise, if you don't want to see how your gift was made, maybe skip this video. I know you probably saw in the video thumbnail your logo, so so it's probably too late to surprise you. But I was sent this gorgeous holographic, it's a printable vinyl and it's sticker paper at that. So the company reached out to me. They did send this to me free of charge, but my opinions are my own, and I'll give you an honest review of how I found the sticker paper to work with. I cannot speak to how well putting it through like an inkjet or a laser printer fares. Something that I want to try, but when I saw this, I knew I wanted to make these coasters for Delise, and so I knew I wasn't going to print on it. I wanted to actually cut out the letters in her name like I've done here. And I used my brother's Scan and Cut to cut these out, and it cut beautifully. The Brothers Scan and Cut does have that auto blade feature, I think it's called, which automatically determines how much pressure it needs to apply to cut out whatever material it is you're sending through it. I also have a Cricut machine. I haven't tried it in my Cricut, but I imagine it's going to cut equally well, but you just might have to figure out what the correct setting is, because on the Cricut you do have to choose the pressure the blade exerts. But as you can see here, these work great. And I am just attaching them to this die cut of just plain old black solid color cardstock. I did already coat my cardstock with one layer of Mod Podge, and I'm gonna give it another 2 coats to coat all of that vinyl as well. On the front of this, you saw that I applied to this black cardstock a die cut of the sticker paper, and in terms of how well it die cuts, if you've ever die cut those glitter papers that have that little bit of it's as if the glitter paper was encapsulated in maybe a layer of plastic. And when you I have paper like that, and when you die cut it die cuts mostly through, but it's just that plastic portion that it can't quite cut through. This is similar, but not as bad. This mostly cut through, and there were only a couple of places where I did have to snip it a little bit with my scissors. But one thing that I highly advise is that anytime you are actually working with something new that you want to encapsulate into resin and you don't know exactly how it might react to your resin, do a little bit of a test, because that's what I did. I put a drop of resin and you can see what happened. That first drop is completely opaque and you lose all of that beautiful holographic design and finish of the sticker paper. But when it was just a single coat of Mod Podge, and that was enough to prevent the resin from soaking through the or reacting to whatever is in the holographic paper. And it was as if it was crystal clear, as if it was just a drop of water. Now, I have in my coaster molds here, I've already filled these up halfway. And if it doesn't look completely clear to you on that left one that doesn't have the paper applied to it yet, that's because I've actually used some color shifting mica around the outside border. And you'll see in a moment when I demold and show you the final project how that color shifting mica looks. It's so much fun, but it almost looks like nothing here. And that's just the thing. With color shifting mica, it reacts, or it looks different depending on the color that is behind it. And it's going to look the most striking against black. And that's why I've chosen black for this side of the coaster. The holographic paper also looks beautiful against black as well. So that's why I used my cutting machine to cut out Delice's name. And so what I'm doing is gluing down these papers, again, with another thin layer of Mod Podge. And the goal here is to make sure that you get all of the air kind of burnished or pushed out from underneath this paper. And as much as possible, try to seal the edges of your paper too. You're trying to prevent resin from seeping underneath the paper. And unfortunately, sorry Delice, but I didn't do a super great job on one of these, and there was a little bit of lifting. And after I pour this top coat, which is just plain clear resin, because I don't want to obstruct her logo or cover up any of that beautiful holographic paper. But usually what happens after you pour is most resins will do what's called self-degassing, and that is any air bubbles that were introduced when you mixed your resin, when you pour your resin, those air bubbles will gradually come to the surface, and you can pop those bubbles with a light spritz of alcohol, or you could take a heat gun to the surface as well, and that should pop the bubbles too. I noticed that on one of these coasters, I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that I didn't either burnish well, but I don't think it was a matter of not burnishing well. I think I just didn't let it dry completely. I kind of rushed the process a little bit. And resin is definitely something that you kind of need to take your time with, because, for example, just pouring that first layer of resin, you do need to let that cure and harden for maybe a good 4 to 6 hours, maybe even 12 hours. Just depends on your resin and how long it takes to really harden to where you can push down on it and it doesn't make an indentation. And then prepping all of these pieces takes time too, just coating them with the Mod Podge. So, for a final piece to look really good, definitely just take your time and give each step its due time, would be my biggest advice. I was just in such a rush to get this project completed so that I can send this to her. And so that I can have a project to share using the holographic paper that I think I rushed one of those steps a little bit. From the top, you can't really tell, but I looked for it because I had a sneaking suspicion that was happening, and sure enough, I did see some lifting. So demolding is easy. These are silicone molds, so you just want to gently kind of lift it so that you can just get that little air pocket going, and then you can peel back your mold and release your final resin. When I poured the top portion, especially sometimes when I was applying the heat gun to it and the resin moved a little bit, I had a little bit of spillover that wasn't completely contained within the mold. It just went over top or spilled around the side of the mold. And that's totally okay because you can snip away large chunks with your scissors. It's right at this point, it's still soft enough to where you can snip it, and it'll be just fine. Your scissors will go through it pretty easily, but it still might feel a little bit rough to the touch. So you can just take some sandpaper to it and just sand those rough edges down. I'm using an emery board that's double-sided. One side's a little bit of a finer grit, and so I use the rougher side first just to knock everything down so that it's nice and level, and then I'll flip it over and hit it with the finer grit side just to get it nice and smooth. Normally with my coasters on the bottoms, I would put some little feet so that it doesn't slide around your table. But with these, I've designed this to be double-sided so that she can use both sides depending on whether she wants to see her name or her crafty logo or alias. So love how this turned out. I love the color shift mica. I think it really brings something to the design, and the holographic sticker paper looks beautiful against it as well. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and Delise, I hope you really enjoy these coasters. If you are new to my channel and you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you get a notification whenever I post new videos to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!